is there anything about Christianity that's kind of incompatible with science? Or
I mean, I think that the sort of bare bones Christianity, just the idea that Jesus was the Son of God, God incarnate, that he died on the cross, he rose again. I mean, the only that God exists, that kind of sort of mere Christianity, there's very little that you could argue is even in tension with science. Once you get past the idea that, well, is God, is any kind of non-physical God, any kind of non-physical being, a creator, is that antithetical to science? And I just think, well, clearly not. I mean, I mean, I don't know if it's, I don't want to make it sound trivial, but I just think that that very idea that God and science are somehow, even in a general sense, are in tension, I think is just not true. And then in terms of the other objection would be then miracles. You know, can miracles occur? And here again, maybe it's my own field, but within theoretical chemistry, where you're dealing with very spooky stuff like quantum mechanics, and also in physics too, that objection that, you know, miracles and God cannot that miracles can't happen within the scientific universe or a scientific worldview, that objection's really fallen apart, I believe, in a large part due to quantum mechanics. So when I hear atheists appealing to how science and miracles can't coexist, they're often relying on some kind of Victorian model of the universe, like Newtonian classical physics, that's just been abandoned, frankly. So I don't think I have ever run into a scientist who made that objection. They might say, well, I don't believe in God for other reasons, right, but they would not say things like, well, miracles can't happen. Because again, we can go into this, but quantum mechanics would just say that assumption, it really is not, that they're impossible. That assumption is pretty implausible given what we know of, or think we know of, how physics actually works. And then the details, of course, things like, well, is the Bible inerrant because of things like evolution? That's a separate question. So you have to sort of take this in concentric circles. When you say science and Christianity are incompatible, what do you mean? Are you talking about that God can't even exist? You're talking about, well, God might exist, but he has to be a deistic sort of God who can't intervene and do miracles. Is that the objection? Are you saying, well, evolution can't coexist with Christianity? Is that what you're saying? Are you saying that universe must be 6,000 years old? What exactly are you saying? And then ask then, well, again, at what level is your question being asked? Are you asking a question about sort of any theistic worldview? Or are you asking a specific question like, well, I think this reading of Genesis 1 is incompatible with science? So I think it's important for us to get specific, because rather than making this very broad claim, we should narrow it down to exactly what's being asked.
I think that's really important to notice, that as engaging with any person that calls himself an ex-Christian, I find that the vast majority of at least internet atheists engage with Genesis 1 on a very, very narrow view, and are surprised when Christians go, that's not necessary. We don't need to restrict ourselves to that view. Here's a range. Here's YEC, OEC, functionalism, all these different, and I'd be more inclined to give someone a book from John Walton myself, because that's what I found helped me with the conversation. And so I think it's really that whole idea of let's ask questions before we start bringing answers to the table. Is vital for any evangelist to listen far more than you talk, because you might find yourself talking past someone, giving answers that they don't even need to hear,